You're praying in silence, your fingers sliding over the worn beads of your rosary, when suddenly it snaps. The beads scatter across the floor, echoing like tiny drops of spiritual tears. Your heart stops for a moment. A chill runs through you. What is happening in the invisible realm at this very moment? What spiritual message lies in those beads now rolling under your furniture, carrying your prayers with them? Today, we're going to explore a question that many faithful Catholics have encountered, but few have truly understood. When your prayer beads fall apart in your hands, what should you do? Should you discard them and purchase new ones? Or is there profound spiritual wisdom in repairing what has been broken? Through the enlightened teachings of Padre Pio, a saint who carried his rosary as faithfully as he carried the wounds of Christ, we will discover answers that may transform not only how you view your prayer beads, but how you understand your own spiritual journey. Padre Pio once said with unwavering conviction, "The rosary is my weapon." These weren't empty words from a distant holy man. They were the battle cry of a spiritual warrior who understood the unseen realms where our prayers wage war against darkness. If your sacred beads have scattered at your feet, you're about to discover why this moment might be more significant than you ever imagined. The separation of those holy beads is not merely a physical occurrence. In that broken string lies a message, perhaps a call to renewal, perhaps a sign of spiritual warfare, or perhaps an invitation to deeper faithfulness. What if I told you that how you respond to this simple, seemingly mundane event could reveal volumes about your spiritual life and even shape your path forward? If you believe in the power of the Rosary as a channel of grace and protection, take a moment right now to acknowledge its importance in your life. Type in the comments, "Padre Pio, intercede for my perseverance." Your simple act of faith sets the foundation for what we're about to explore together. Stay with me until the very end of this message, because you'll discover spiritual wisdom revealed by Padre Pio that can transform your entire perspective on the broken things in your spiritual life. This isn't just about repairing beads and string. It's about understanding how God works through the very moments when things fall apart, and the final revelation may be exactly what your heart needs to hear today. Picture your rosary not merely as a string of beads, but as a spiritual weapon in the invisible battles that rage around us daily. This wasn't just a poetic metaphor, it was the profound reality that Padre Pio lived by. The rosary, he would often say, is the weapon for these times. In his hands, those simple beads transformed into a channel of extraordinary power, not of destruction, but of divine protection and spiritual warfare. When we truly understand how Padre Pio viewed the Rosary, we begin to see why its physical condition carries such spiritual significance. For him, the Rosary wasn't just an accessory to faith, it was an extension of his very connection to heaven. Witnesses recall how his gnarled fingers would never be without his beads, praying upwards of 35 rosaries each day when confined to his cell. Even during his daily activities, the rosary remained in his hands, a constant conduit between earth and heaven. Consider this. When a soldier's weapon shows wear, what does it tell us? It speaks of battles fought, of use in the field, of purpose fulfilled. Padre Pio's own rosaries would show signs of wear, not from neglect, but from constant communion with the divine. The worn beads were badges of honor in spiritual warfare, each scratch and mark a testament to prayers offered, souls saved, and graces obtained. Today, the Rosary, Padre Pio explained to his spiritual children, is the oxygen of the soul. Just as oxygen gives life to the body, the Rosary breathes life into our spiritual existence. When we pray it, we aren't merely reciting words. We're breathing in divine grace and exhaling human weakness. The physical state of our Rosary often reflects the state of our soul's respiratory system. Is it strong and intact, allowing for deep spiritual breaths, or has it weakened, limiting the flow of grace? There exists a mysterious connection between the physical condition of sacred objects and our spiritual lives. When Padre Pio would kiss his rosary, Witnesses reported seeing a unique tenderness, as though he wasn't merely touching beads, but connecting with the very presence of the Blessed Mother herself. The Rosary, in his mystical vision, was the umbilical cord connecting us to the nourishment of heaven. For those who have felt the peculiar ache when a cherished rosary breaks, know that Padre Pio would understand your distress. It isn't mere sentimentality, it's spiritual intuition. Something deep within recognizes that what has broken is more than plastic, wood, or metal. What has temporarily snapped is a physical manifestation of your lifeline to grace. But what exactly is happening in the spiritual realm when the string breaks and those beads scatter across your floor? What message might heaven be sending through this seemingly ordinary event? And how would Padre Pio interpret this moment in your spiritual journey? But then, what really happens in the spiritual world when the rosary comes apart in our hands? Padre Pio saw far beyond the obvious. When your rosary breaks in the middle of prayer, it can feel like a spiritual disruption, perhaps even an omen. But through the wisdom of Padre Pio, we discover that this moment carries profound meanings that can deepen your faith rather than diminish it. First, consider that a broken rosary may actually be a sign of spiritual battle intensifying around you. Padre Pio often spoke of how the most fervent prayers attracted the most vigorous opposition from the enemy. Ooh, the devil, he would warn his spiritual children, is like a rabid dog tied to a chain. Beyond the length of the chain, he cannot catch hold of anyone. And you, therefore, keep at a distance. If you approach too near, you let yourself be caught. When your rosary breaks during a time of intense prayer, it may indicate that your prayers have become so powerful that they're disrupting the spiritual darkness around you. This isn't cause for fear, but rather confirmation that your prayers are effective. Think of it as spiritual resistance training. When you feel the resistance increasing, it means your spiritual muscles are growing stronger. Padre Pio himself experienced tremendous opposition during his most powerful prayer times, often bearing physical marks of these unseen battles. Another meaning behind a broken rosary is the beautiful symbolism of vulnerability in prayer. Many saints, including Padre Pio, taught that true prayer happens when we allow ourselves to be broken open before God. A broken rosary physically represents this spiritual reality, that sometimes our carefully constructed prayers must fall apart before true communion with God can occur. It's in the scattered beads, in the broken pattern, that we find space for God to work in unexpected ways. Padre Pio understood that God often uses broken things to demonstrate his power. Just as Christ's broken body on the cross became the source of our salvation, our broken prayers, symbolized by broken beads, can become the most authentic offerings we bring to God. Prayer, Padre Pio would say, is the best weapon we possess, the key that opens the heart of God. There's also wisdom in recognizing that a broken rosary reflects the natural wear that comes from faithful use. When Padre Pio's rosaries showed signs of wear, it wasn't seen as failure, but as evidence of faithful perseverance. The worn beads told a story of countless Ave Marias offered, of battles fought in the heavenly realm, of a commitment that refused to wane even when physical objects began to fail. As we explore these profound spiritual truths, many have asked how to deepen their understanding of Padre Pio's spiritual wisdom. Our ebook, The Spiritual Secrets of St. Padre Pio, contains powerful prayers and practical advice to strengthen your spiritual life. Just as a broken rosary can be repaired, this resource can revitalize your prayer life, giving you access to Padre Pio's spiritual weapons. Find the link in the comments if you feel called to continue this journey. Perhaps most beautifully, a broken rosary reminds us that imperfection does not diminish holiness. Padre Pio himself was known to say, "Pray, hope, and don't worry." Even when your prayer tool breaks, even when your spiritual routine is interrupted, the connection to heaven remains unbroken. The scattered beads of a broken rosary teach us that sometimes our spiritual lives must be reassembled, restrung, and renewed, not discarded. In the breaking, there is an invitation to reassess how we pray, to renew our commitment, and to recognize that sometimes the most powerful prayers come not from perfect recitation, but from a heart that continues to seek God even when things fall apart. This brings us to the crucial question that many faithful Catholics face. When your rosary breaks, should you simply throw it away, or is there spiritual value in restoration? When faced with a broken rosary, many Catholics experience a moment of genuine uncertainty. Should it be discarded and replaced, or lovingly restored? This question touches on something deeper than mere practicality. It reaches into how we view sacred objects, and by extension, our approach to brokenness in our spiritual lives. The Catholic Church has always held sacramentals, blessed objects like rosaries, in special regard. These aren't mere trinkets, but physical channels of grace, set apart for holy use through blessing. According to church teaching, blessed objects deserve reverent treatment, even when they're no longer functional. This reverence isn't superstition, but recognition of the object's sacred purpose and the blessing it carries. Padre Pio, with his mystical insight, understood this profoundly. Treat the things of God as things of God, he would often counsel his spiritual children. For him, a rosary wasn't just beads on a string, but a physical point of connection to Mary and, through her, to Christ. He would handle his own rosary with such tenderness that witnesses reported feeling as though they were watching someone hold a living connection to heaven. When considering disposal versus restoration, remember this wisdom from Padre Pio. In the spiritual life, nothing should be wasted, not suffering, not joy, and certainly not the tools through which we commune with heaven. This principle applies perfectly to a broken rosary. Rather than quick disposal, restoration becomes an act of spiritual stewardship. That said, there are times when a rosary is damaged beyond repair. In such cases, the Church provides guidance. Blessed objects should never be simply thrown in the trash. Instead, they should be returned to the elements in a dignified way, typically through burning and burying the ashes, or simply burying the object intact. This ensures that something consecrated for sacred use isn't treated as common waste. But why restore rather than replace? There are both spiritual and practical reasons. From a practical standpoint, many rosaries hold sentimental value. Perhaps they were gifts for First Communion, souvenirs from pilgrimages, or handed down through generations. Their physical connection to important spiritual moments makes them irreplaceable. More profoundly, the spiritual reasons for restoration echo the very heart of our faith. Christianity is fundamentally a religion of restoration, of taking what is broken and making it whole again. When we restore a broken rosary, we participate in that divine pattern. As Padre Pio would say, prayer is not asking. Prayer is putting oneself in the hands of God, at His disposition, and listening to His voice in the depth of our hearts. The act of repairing a broken rosary becomes itself a form of prayer, a physical meditation on restoration. Consider the story of Maria, a woman from a small Italian village near San Giovanni Rotondo. Her rosary, a gift from her grandmother who had made pilgrimage to see Padre Pio, broke during a particularly difficult period in her life. Her marriage was failing, her faith wavering. When the rosary snapped during prayer, she initially saw it as confirmation that everything in her life was falling apart. With tears, she gathered the scattered beads and visited an elderly woman in her village who was known for repairing sacred objects. As the old woman carefully restrung the rosary, she shared stories of Padre Pio and his teachings on perseverance. "The rosary is being repaired," she told Maria, "and so too will your faith be renewed." Maria began praying with her restored rosary daily. The physical act of holding something broken that had been made whole again became a powerful metaphor that sustained her through marriage counseling and spiritual direction. "A British that mended rosary," she later testified, "taught me that broken things don't need to be discarded. They can become stronger at the broken places." This wisdom extends beyond rosaries to our very souls. When Padre Pio heard confessions, he was essentially helping to restore broken spiritual lives. He understood that God doesn't discard us when we break. He restores us with even greater love and purpose. A restored rosary becomes a physical reminder of this profound truth. So before you decide to discard that broken rosary, consider, might this be an opportunity not just to repair beads and string, but to participate in the divine work of restoration that stands at the very heart of our faith? The act of restoring a broken rosary carries within it a beautiful parallel to the restoration God desires to work in our souls. This isn't mere symbolism, it's a living enactment of the redemptive pattern woven throughout creation. As Padre Pio often taught his spiritual children, God's work often begins precisely at the moment when your resources are exhausted. The breaking point becomes the starting point for divine action. When you carefully gather scattered rosary beads from the floor, you mirror God's meticulous care in gathering the fragmented pieces of our lives. Nothing is too small to escape His notice, no piece too insignificant to be left behind. This is the God who, as Padre Pio reminded us, counts the hairs on your head. Each recovered bead becomes a meditation on God's attentiveness to every detail of your existence. There's profound significance in how we handle sacred objects that reveals our deeper spiritual attitudes. Those who quickly discard a broken rosary may unconsciously approach other aspects of faith with the same disposability, abandoning prayers that don't yield immediate results, relationships that require mending, or spiritual disciplines that have grown difficult. Conversely, those who patiently restore their rosaries often demonstrate the same virtues in their broader spiritual life: perseverance, attention to detail, reverence for the sacred, and belief in redemption. Padre Pio understood that our smallest actions reveal our spiritual character. Pray, hope, and don't worry, he famously counseled. But he also lived by another principle. In devotion, as in love, small gestures often speak louder than grand ones. The seemingly small decision to repair rather than replace demonstrates a countercultural resistance to our throwaway society. It declares that what is broken can be made sacred again, a fundamental truth of our faith. Consider the testimony of James, a man who had abandoned his Catholic faith for decades. During a difficult period, he discovered his grandmother's broken rosary in an old box. Though no longer practicing, something prevented him from discarding it. Instead, he took it to a local parish for repair. The priest who helped him not only fixed the rosary, but engaged him in conversation about its history. As the beads were being restrung, James later shared, something in my own faith was being reconnected as well. Each bead that returned to its proper place felt like a piece of my Catholic identity finding its way home. That restored rosary became his companion on a journey back to the church, a physical manifestation of his own spiritual restoration. Padre Pio would often tell penitents that restoration requires time and patience. The heaviest crosses God places on us are made from the splinters of our impatience, he would say. When restoring a rosary, we experience this truth tangibly. The work is delicate, sometimes frustrating, requiring focus and care. Yet in this very process, we cultivate the virtues needed for spiritual growth: patience, persistence, and attention. Another remarkable testimony comes from a hospice nurse named Elizabeth. She had received a rosary blessed by Padre Pio himself through a relative who had made pilgrimage to San Giovanni Rotondo. After years of daily use, the rosary broke while she prayed beside a dying patient who had been estranged from the church. Rather than seeing this as a disruption, Elizabeth felt prompted to involve the patient in the restoration process. As they carefully restrung the beads together over several days, the patient began asking questions about the prayers, about Padre Pio, and ultimately about reconciliation with the church. But it wasn't just the rosary being repaired, Elizabeth recalled. Through that broken sacramental, God provided an opportunity for a soul to be restored before departing this world. 2 weeks after they completed the repair, the patient received last rites and passed peacefully, clutching that very rosary. Padre Pio taught that divine timing is perfect, even when it appears as interruption or breakage. God is never late, he would insist. Perhaps the breaking of your rosary isn't a spiritual setback, but a divinely orchestrated pause, a moment to reassess, to deepen, to transform your approach to prayer. The restoration becomes not just a repair, but a renewal of purpose. There's spiritual power in the continuity of using the same restored rosary rather than constantly replacing it with new ones. Each repair adds to its history, its testimony, its sacred connection to your journey. Like a faith that has weathered doubts and emerged stronger, a mended rosary carries within it the visible marks of endurance, a legacy of faithfulness that makes it not less valuable, but more precious. Now, let me share with you a simple step-by-step approach to properly care for your broken rosary. Step 1. Collect the beads with reverence. Don't rush this process. Each bead represents a prayer, and gathering them mindfully becomes a meditation in itself. Create a clean, quiet space for this task, perhaps lighting a candle and saying a brief prayer before beginning. Margaret, a devoted Catholic from Boston, shared how the simple act of searching for each fallen bead from her grandmother's rosary became a profound spiritual exercise. As I crawled under furniture looking for those tiny beads, she recalled, I felt like I was recovering pieces of my own faith that had been neglected and forgotten. Step 2. Store the beads in a sacred place. Use a clean, small container, a blessed container if possible. Some Catholics use a small pouch, blessed by a priest specifically for this purpose. Place this container near a sacred image in your home while awaiting repair. Step 3. Choose your repair method. For string rosaries, you'll need new cord, available at Catholic supply stores. For wire-linked rosaries, small jewelry repair tools allow you to fix the connections. If the repair seems challenging, many Catholic parishes have rosary-making groups who offer repair services. Carlos, who had received a rosary from his dying father, couldn't bear to see it broken. When I brought it to the elderly woman at my parish who repairs rosaries, he shared, she told me that as she fixed each connection, she would pray for my father's soul. It wasn't just a repair, it was a spiritual communion. Step 4. Have your rosary blessed again after restoration. Though not strictly necessary according to church teaching, this step can symbolize the renewal of your own commitment to prayer. Step 5. Store and protect your restored rosary with special care. Use a protective case rather than keeping it loose in pockets or purses. Periodically check for wear at connection points and apply a tiny drop of clear nail polish to knots in string rosaries to reinforce them. During this entire process, cultivate gratitude, mindfulness, intention, and humility. As Joanna felt her heart tighten when her mother's rosary beads fell to the floor, she discovered that carefully repairing each bead felt like healing, not just the rosary, but old spiritual wounds as well. As we come to the end of our exploration, let's gather the scattered beads of wisdom we've collected along this journey. We've discovered that a broken rosary isn't a sign of spiritual failure or divine displeasure, but rather an invitation to deeper understanding. Through Padre Pio's spiritual vision, we see that what appears broken in our hands remains unbroken in heaven's eyes. Remember the profound truth we uncovered. The physical condition of our prayer tools often mirrors the state of our spiritual lives. Just as a rosary shows wear from faithful use, our souls bear the beautiful marks of a life spent in communion with God. The breaking points, those moments when the string can no longer hold, may be precisely when God is preparing us for renewal. Padre Pio, with his mystical insight, understood something that our disposable culture has forgotten. True value isn't found in perfection, but in faithfulness. His own hands, marked with the wounds of Christ, would grasp his rosary beads with such tenderness that witnesses reported seeing the visible manifestation of invisible love. He didn't discard what was worn. He treasured it all the more. There is a beautiful parallel between the restoration of a broken rosary and God's work in our own lives. Think of how carefully you gather each scattered bead, how meticulously you restring them, how you cherish the restored rosary, perhaps even more than before it broke. Now imagine God doing the same with the scattered pieces of your heart, your faith, your life, gathering each fragment with infinite care, restoring what was broken with divine craftsmanship. God's mercy, Padre Pio would often say, is an abyss that no mind can fathom. When we look at our restored rosaries, we glimpse this truth. Nothing is beyond repair in God's economy. No break is final. No scattering is permanent. In the very places where the string has been reinforced after breaking, the rosary often becomes stronger than it was before. Today, I invite you to look at the broken places in your life with new eyes. Perhaps you're facing broken relationships, broken dreams, broken health, or a faith that feels like scattered beads across a cold floor. Take heart from what we've learned about the humble rosary. Gather those pieces with reverence. Seek restoration rather than abandonment. Trust the divine craftsman who specializes in making beautiful things from broken pieces. If today's message has touched your heart or given you a new perspective on your spiritual journey, write "Restored by God" in the comments below. Your testimony strengthens our community and helps this message reach others who may be gathering their own scattered beads right now. Consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't already, and share this video with someone who might be wondering what to do with their broken rosary or their broken heart. Together, we form a community of faith, supporting each other through our prayers and shared wisdom. May your restored rosary become a powerful reminder that God never discards what is broken, but transforms it into something even more beautiful than before. And may Padre Pio's intercession strengthen you to continue praying, even when, especially when, things fall apart. Let me leave you with Padre Pio's own words, which seem especially fitting for our reflection today. Pray, hope, and don't worry. Worry is useless. God is merciful and will hear your prayer. Your broken rosary, like your broken moments, is not the end of the story. It's simply a chapter in God's ongoing work of restoration. Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, thank you for your support that allows us to continue bringing these spiritual truths to the hearts of those who need them most. By liking, sharing, and becoming members of our channel, you become instruments of God in transforming lives. Every time you share these messages, you're extending God's hand to someone who may be going through difficult times and needs to hear these words of hope. If these messages have touched your heart, please consider becoming a member of our channel. Your generosity allows us to continue creating content that strengthens faith and brings hope to thousands of people. Remember that together we form a community of prayer, a spiritual family united by our devotion and love for God. May Padre Pio intercede for each of you and your families. May God bless you abundantly. Have you ever wondered why some medals of Saint Benedict seem to bring peace and protection, while others appear to have no effect at all? What if I told you that the very medal sitting in your home right now, the one you believe is protecting you, might actually be attracting negative energies instead of repelling them? Today, I'm going to share with you a critical warning that Padre Pio, one of the most powerful mystics of our time, left for those who keep the medal of Saint Benedict in their homes. This revelation is so important that it could completely transform the spiritual energy of your home and family. You see, Padre Pio understood something profound about sacred objects that most people overlook. He witnessed firsthand how this particular medal, when used incorrectly, could become not just ineffective, but potentially harmful. And yet, when used properly, it becomes one of the most powerful tools of spiritual protection available to believers. Before we continue, if you have a St. Benedict medal in your home right now, write in the comments, St. Benedict, shield my home. This simple act of faith begins the process of properly engaging with this powerful sacramental. The warning I'm about to share with you isn't meant to frighten, but to empower. Because once you understand what Padre Pio revealed about the proper use of this ancient medal, you'll be able to unlock its true protective power, a power that has been documented in countless testimonies throughout history. Stay with me until the end, because the final revelation about this medal is the most important of all, and it's something that could radically change how you experience spiritual protection in your daily life. This isn't just about avoiding negative influences. It's about inviting profound blessings into every corner of your existence. The medal of St. Benedict is not merely a decorative religious item. It's one of the oldest and most powerful sacramentals recognized by the Church, with a history stretching back to the 6th century. On its surface, this simple medal carries ancient symbols and Latin inscriptions that many possess without fully understanding their profound significance. St. Benedict of Nursia, the father of Western monasticism, was known for his miraculous power against evil and his ability to overcome temptation. Legend tells us that when enemies tried to poison him, he made the sign of the cross over the poisoned cup, and it shattered instantly. This power against evil is embedded in every authentic medal bearing his image. The medal itself shows Saint Benedict holding his rule in one hand and the cross in the other. Around the edge are Latin letters, each representing powerful prayers of exorcism and protection. For centuries, believers have used this medal to guard their homes, protect travelers, bless the sick, and repel spiritual attacks. But here lies the danger that Padre Pio warned about. In our modern world, many have come to view the medal as a type of spiritual good luck charm, something that works automatically, regardless of how it's used or the spiritual disposition of the person using it. Maria from Mexico City discovered this truth the hard way. Despite having several St. Benedict medals placed throughout her home, she continued to experience unexplained disturbances, nightmares, and a persistent sense of heaviness. "I couldn't understand it," she recounted. "I had the medals, but things seemed to be getting worse, not better." What Maria didn't realize, what many don't understand, is that Padre Pio identified specific conditions that must be met for the medal to fulfill its sacred purpose. Without these, the medal remains just a piece of metal, incapable of channeling divine protection. In some cases, as Padre Pio observed, an improperly used medal might even become a point of spiritual vulnerability rather than strength. This is why understanding Padre Pio's warnings is so crucial. He wasn't just an ordinary priest. He was a man who bore the wounds of Christ, who could read souls, and who battled directly with demonic forces. His insights came not from theological speculation, but from direct spiritual combat and divine revelation. As we explore these warnings together, I invite you to examine your own relationship with this powerful sacramental. Are you experiencing its full protective power, or could there be something blocking its effectiveness in your life and home? The first and perhaps most critical warning from Padre Pio concerns medals that lack proper blessing. This revelation may shock many of you who have medals at home right now. A medal without a proper blessing, Padre Pio would tell his spiritual children, is like a soldier without weapons, present but unable to fight. In his many years of spiritual warfare, Padre Pio encountered numerous situations where people complained that their religious objects seemed to offer no protection. Almost invariably, upon investigation, he discovered the same fundamental problem. The items had never been properly blessed by a priest. This isn't merely a formal requirement or an empty tradition. When a priest blesses a Saint Benedict medal, he invokes specific powerful prayers that activate its spiritual properties. The blessing ceremony is, in essence, a form of minor exorcism, dedicating the medal to divine service and removing it from ordinary, secular use. Without this crucial step, the medal remains spiritually inert. Consider what happened to Antonio, a businessman from Brazil. For years, he carried a Saint Benedict medal in his wallet, believing it would protect him from harm. Yet he found himself experiencing unusual misfortunes and a sense of being spiritually attacked. During a chance encounter with a knowledgeable priest, the truth emerged. His medal had never been blessed. It was simply a manufactured object, devoid of spiritual activation. I felt foolish, Antonio recalled. I'd been trusting in something that hadn't been prepared for its spiritual purpose. It was like thinking a disconnected phone could make calls. Padre Pio was particularly concerned about mass-produced medals sold in gift shops and online stores. These medals are manufactured by the thousands and shipped directly to consumers without any blessing, yet people bring them into their homes, expecting divine protection from what is, spiritually speaking, just a piece of metal. Even more troubling to Padre Pio was the reality that objects dedicated to sacred purposes, when left without blessing, can sometimes become entry points for negative influences. Nature abhors a vacuum, he would say, and this applies to the spiritual realm as well. An object intended for divine protection but not properly consecrated to that purpose exists in a kind of spiritual limbo, marked for sacred use but not empowered for it. The solution is straightforward but essential. Take your medal to a Catholic priest and ask for it to be blessed. Most priests will happily perform this blessing, which takes only a few minutes. Some may use the specific blessing for a Saint Benedict medal, which dates back to 1742 and includes special prayers of exorcism. Others may use a more general blessing, which is still effective. If you discover that your medal has never been blessed, don't panic. Simply acknowledge the oversight and make arrangements to have it blessed properly. This single act could transform an ordinary piece of metal into a powerful channel of divine protection for you and your loved ones. As you contemplate the powerful insights from Padre Pio about the Saint Benedict medal, you might feel called to deepen your understanding of spiritual protection even further. That's why we've created a special ebook, The Spiritual Secrets of Saint Padre Pio, which expands on these teachings and offers powerful prayers, reflections, and practical guidance for strengthening your spiritual defenses. This resource isn't just about information, it's about transformation. Inside, you'll discover Padre Pio's most effective prayers for protection, his guidance for discerning spiritual influences, and practical ways to incorporate his wisdom into your daily life. Many readers have shared how this material has brought newfound peace and spiritual security to their homes. If today's message resonates with you, consider taking the next step in your spiritual journey. The link to this life-changing resource is pinned in the comments below. Remember, as Padre Pio taught, true protection comes through knowledge combined with faith and proper practice. Now let's continue with our exploration of Padre Pio's crucial warnings about the Saint Benedict medal. The second warning. Padre Pio emphasized concerns the mysterious inscriptions on the Saint Benedict medal, symbols and letters that many owners never bother to understand. Yet according to Padre Pio, this ignorance significantly diminishes the medal's efficacy. To use a medal without understanding its inscriptions, Padre Pio once told a troubled woman seeking his counsel, is like having a powerful medicine but not knowing the correct dosage. The potential for healing exists, but it cannot fulfill its purpose. Look closely at your St. Benedict medal. Around its edge, you'll find a series of letters that appear cryptic to modern eyes. C, S, P, B. On the vertical beam of the cross, and around the margin, the letters V, R, S, N, S, M, V, S, M, Q, L, I, V, B. Each letter represents the first letter of words in Latin prayers and commands against evil. The C, S, P, B stands for Crux Sancti Patris Benedicti, or the cross of the Holy Father Benedict. The letters surrounding the medal translate to a powerful exorcism prayer. May the Holy Cross be my light. May the dragon never be my guide. Begone, Satan, never tempt me with your vanities. What you offer is evil. Drink your own poison. These aren't merely decorative elements or ancient curiosities. They are spiritual armaments, verbal weapons against darkness that have been used for centuries. When Padre Pio counseled people on using the medal effectively, he insisted they learn and periodically recite these prayers, understanding what they were invoking. Elizabeth, a teacher from Chicago, shared her transformative experience. For years, I wore the medal as a family tradition, not thinking much about the strange letters on it. After learning their meaning and beginning to pray them consciously, I noticed a remarkable difference in my spiritual life, particularly in moments when I felt under attack or temptation. It was as if knowing the meaning activated something that was dormant before. Padre Pio explained that when we understand and consciously engage with these inscriptions, we align our intention with the spiritual purpose of the medal. We become active participants rather than passive wearers. This conscious partnership between the human and the divine is what makes the medal truly effective. He would often guide people to trace their finger along the letters of the medal while reciting their meaning, a practice that connects physical touch, visual recognition, and verbal declaration. This multisensory engagement strengthens our spiritual resolve and focuses our intention. Father Marco, who worked closely with Padre Pio, recounted how the mystical priest would sometimes hold a person's Saint Benedict medal in his stigmatized hands and ask, "Do you know what power you carry? Do you understand the words inscribed here?" Many had to admit they did not, which became a teaching moment about the importance of knowing our spiritual tools. If you've owned a Saint Benedict medal without understanding its inscriptions, take time to learn them, write them down, meditate on their meaning. When you handle your medal, do so with conscious awareness of these powerful declarations against evil. This simple practice will transform your relationship with this sacramental and significantly enhance its protective qualities in your life. Perhaps the most profound of Padre Pio's warnings about the Saint Benedict medal concerns our inner disposition. In his spiritual counseling, he repeatedly emphasized that the medal's effectiveness depends greatly on the faith and intention of the person using it. No, the medal is not magical, Padre Pio firmly told a group of pilgrims who had come seeking special blessings for their religious objects. Its power flows from faith, not from the object itself. This distinction is crucial and often misunderstood in our modern world, where we tend to place our trust in things rather than in the divine reality they represent. Padre Pio observed that many people approach sacramentals like the Saint Benedict medal with what he called a materialistic spirituality, treating holy objects as if they worked automatically, regardless of the user's spiritual state. This approach, he warned, borders on superstition and can actually nullify the medal's protective properties. Consider the profound difference between these two attitudes. The first person hangs a Saint Benedict medal by their door, thinking, "This object will protect me no matter what." The second person places the same medal with the prayer, "I trust that through this blessed symbol, God will extend his protection over my home as I strive to live faithfully." The first approach treats the medal almost like a spiritual technology that functions independently of relationship with God. The second recognizes the medal as a channel of grace that works in harmony with personal faith. Sophia from Argentina shared her realization about this truth. "I had medals throughout my house, but was living in ways contrary to faith. I somehow expected the medals to protect me while I made choices that opened spiritual doors to negativity." Padre Pio's teaching helped me understand that the medal isn't a substitute for faithful living, it's a complement to it. This insight connects to Padre Pio's frequent teaching that spiritual protection isn't just about defending against external forces. It begins with our internal choices. The most powerful protection comes when the medal's external presence aligns with an internal commitment to spiritual integrity. The medal, Padre Pio explained, is like a shield in battle. But even the finest shield cannot protect a soldier who refuses to use it properly or who deliberately walks into enemy territory. He would often use the analogy of a lightning rod to explain this principle. A lightning rod doesn't prevent lightning from striking. Rather, it provides a safe pathway for the electricity to travel, protecting the building. Similarly, the medal doesn't necessarily prevent spiritual challenges from approaching, but when used with faith, it helps channel divine protection that guides these forces away from causing harm. During spiritual direction sessions, Padre Pio would sometimes ask people to hold their medal and examine their conscience. When you touch this medal, do you feel connected to the saint it represents? Do you strive to embody the virtues he exemplified? Or do you expect the object to do all the spiritual work while you remain unchanged? For those discovering that they've been approaching their medal with a superstitious or magical mindset, Padre Pio offered reassurance along with correction. It's never too late to align your heart with your practices, he would say. To begin today to use your medal with conscious faith, and its effectiveness will grow accordingly. Try this practice that Padre Pio recommended. When you touch or look at your saint, Benedict medal, take a moment for a brief prayer, acknowledging that its power comes from God, not from the metal itself. Express your trust in divine protection and your commitment to living faithfully. This simple act transforms the medal from a passive object into an active reminder of your spiritual connection and intentions. Padre Pio's fourth warning addresses the practical aspects of where and how to place the St. Benedict medal for maximum spiritual effectiveness. Through his mystical insights and years of spiritual warfare experience, he developed specific guidance that many find surprising. 1. The placement of the medal is not arbitrary. Padre Pio would instruct those who sought his counsel. Certain locations in your home serve as spiritual thresholds where protection is most needed. According to his teachings, these strategic points require special attention. First among these are entryways, doors and windows, which Padre Pio described as portals, where spiritual influences, both positive and negative, can enter our living spaces. He strongly recommended placing Blessed Saint Benedict medals above the main entrance door and other key access points to the home. Some of his spiritual children reported that he even advised them to discreetly bury medals in the soil near the four corners of their property, creating a kind of spiritual perimeter of protection. Isabella from Mexico City followed this advice during a time when her family was experiencing inexplicable disturbances. As we placed medals above each doorway in our home, especially focusing on the main entrance and the doors to our children's bedrooms, she recounted. Within days, the atmosphere changed completely. The heaviness lifted, and everyone began sleeping peacefully again. Beyond physical placement, Padre Pio also gave instruction on how the medal should be handled and used. Unlike many religious items that are primarily decorative, the Saint Benedict medal was designed for active spiritual use. Padre Pio taught that occasionally the medal should be held during prayer, particularly when praying for protection or when feeling spiritually vulnerable. For those experiencing particular spiritual attacks or disturbances in certain areas of their homes, Padre Pio recommended a simple but powerful practice: holding the blessed medal while walking through the troubled space, praying the medal's inscriptions aloud, and making the sign of the cross in each corner of the room. This practice, which combines physical movement, verbal declaration, and sacred symbolism, creates what he called a dynamic engagement with the medal's protective properties. When you actively use the medal in prayer, Padre Pio explained, you are not just benefiting from the blessing upon the object, but you are also awakening and directing your own faith, which is a powerful spiritual force in itself. Padre Pio was particularly concerned about bedrooms, especially those of children, knowing that the sleeping state can sometimes leave people more vulnerable to spiritual influences. He advised parents to place medals near their children's beds, not to instill fear, but to create an environment of spiritual safety where restful sleep could occur. Robert, a father of 3 from Canada, shared, "After learning about Padre Pio's recommendations, we placed blessed medals near our children's beds. Our youngest had been having terrible nightmares that left him afraid to go to sleep. Within a week of placing the medal, the nightmares stopped completely. When I asked him if he was sleeping better, he simply said, 'The bad dreams can't get past the special medal.'" For personal protection outside the home, Padre Pio encouraged carrying a blessed medal, but with an important caveat. It should be carried with awareness, not just as a forgotten item in a pocket or purse. Some of his spiritual children reported that he recommended occasionally touching the medal throughout the day as a mindful reconnection to its protective purpose. This awareness transforms the medal from a passive talisman into an active reminder of divine protection and our own spiritual vigilance. If you have a St. Benedict medal, consider Padre Pio's guidance on placement and use. Whether in your home or carried with you, let it become not just a possession, but a practice, a tangible connection to the spiritual protection that faith provides. Now we come to what Padre Pio considered the most profound truth about the saint. Benedict medal, a revelation that transforms our understanding of its purpose and power. This insight goes beyond techniques of use and touches the very heart of Christian spirituality. The medal's deepest purpose, Padre Pio would say with great conviction, is not merely protection against evil, but transformation into Christ. This statement often surprised those who came to him seeking only a shield against negative forces. Yet Padre Pio insisted that viewing the medal solely as spiritual protection missed its ultimate significance. At its core, the St. Benedict medal is an extension of the cross of Christ. Look closely at the medal. At its center stands not just the figure of St. Benedict, but the cross he holds. The letters, prayers, and symbols all point to the victory of Christ over evil. Saint Benedict himself conquered temptation and spiritual attack, not through his own power, but through his profound union with Christ. According to Padre Pio, when we use the medal with this understanding, something remarkable happens. Rather than just creating a barrier against evil, the medal becomes a channel through which we participate in Christ's victory. The focus shifts from fear of evil to confidence in divine power. When many come seeking protection because they are afraid, Padre Pio observed, and they leave realizing that true spiritual safety comes not from fear but from love, the same divine love that conquered death itself. Father Dominic, who studied under Padre Pio, recalled how the saint would gently correct those who became overly focused on negative spiritual forces. Padre Pio would take their hand holding the medal and say, "Look at what is inscribed here, not Satan's defeat, but Christ's victory. That is where your eyes should remain fixed." This perspective transforms how we engage with the medal. Instead of an anxious dependence on an object for protection, we develop a relationship with the spiritual reality it represents. The medal becomes less about what we're protecting against and more about who we're connecting with. Maria Elena experienced this shift firsthand. "I had been using the medal out of fear, constantly worried about negative energies. After learning Padre Pio's teaching, I began to see it as a reminder of Christ's presence and victory. This completely changed my spiritual life, from one dominated by fear to one characterized by trust." This is perhaps the most radical of Padre Pio's revelations about the medal, that its highest use is not as a supernatural security system, but as a daily reminder of our participation in divine life. When used this way, the medal doesn't just protect our current state, it helps transform us into more faithful, loving, and Christ-centered people. The next time you hold your St. Benedict medal, Try this practice inspired by Padre Pio's teaching. Rather than focusing on what you're being protected from, meditate on what you're being invited into, a share in Christ's victory, Saint Benedict's steadfastness, and the Church's continuing mission of bringing light into darkness. As we come to the end of our journey through Padre Pio's profound warnings about the Saint Benedict medal, let us reflect on what we've discovered together. We've learned that this ancient sacramental is far more than a mere trinket or passive charm. It's a powerful instrument of faith when properly blessed, understood, and used with sincere devotion. Padre Pio's wisdom reminds us that in matters of spiritual protection, the external object and our internal disposition must work in harmony. A blessed medal, understood in its rich symbolism, placed thoughtfully in our homes and carried with faithful awareness, becomes a powerful channel of divine grace. But perhaps most importantly, we've uncovered the profound truth that the medal's ultimate purpose extends beyond protection. It serves as a daily reminder that we are called not to live in fear of darkness, but to participate in Christ's victory over it. Like Saint Benedict himself, we are invited to stand firm in faith, holding the cross as our most powerful weapon against all forms of spiritual adversity. Take a moment now to consider your own relationship with this sacred object. Has your understanding of the Saint Benedict medal changed through what you've learned today? Perhaps you've realized that your medal needs to be properly blessed, or that you've been approaching it with incomplete understanding. Maybe you recognize that you've been using it more as a superstitious object rather than as an expression of living faith. Whatever insights you've gained, I encourage you to take action today. If you have a Saint Benedict medal that hasn't been blessed, make arrangements with a priest to have it blessed. If you haven't understood its inscriptions, commit to learning them. If you've kept it tucked away, consider placing it thoughtfully in your home, according to Padre Pio's guidance. If today's message has touched your heart or helped you understand this powerful sacramental better, please write in the comments. Thank you, Padre Pio, for this wisdom. Your comment not only expresses gratitude, but helps this important message reach others who may need it. Remember the words Padre Pio often shared with those who sought his guidance. Pray, hope, and don't worry. With proper understanding and use of the Saint Benedict medal, we have one more reason to embrace this threefold path. We pray with the powerful prayers inscribed on the medal. We hope in the protection and grace it channels, and we need not worry, knowing we are under divine care. May Saint Benedict intercede for you. May Padre Pio's wisdom guide you, and may the cross of Christ always be your light and protection. Have you ever walked into your bedroom and felt an inexplicable heaviness, as if something was blocking your peace, your dreams, and even your connection with God? That subtle discomfort you can't quite explain might be more significant than you realize. Today, we're going to reveal 9 specific items that Padre Pio warned could be secretly attracting poverty and negativity into your most sacred space. Padre Pio, with his profound spiritual wisdom and divine gifts, understood something remarkable about our bedrooms. He said, God speaks in silence, but we must first prepare the space to hear him. This holy man, who bore the wounds of Christ and possessed extraordinary spiritual insight, knew that our bedroom isn't just a place for rest, it's a sanctuary where our soul connects with the divine presence. But right now, in your bedroom, there might be objects that are silently draining your spiritual energy, blocking your blessings, and even attracting financial hardship. These aren't just ordinary items. They're spiritual barriers that Padre Pio specifically warned about. What's even more concerning is that most people don't realize they have these objects, and worse yet, some even consider them harmless. Think about it for a moment. Have you been experiencing unexplained financial struggles? Do you wake up feeling tired despite a full night's sleep? Has your prayer life felt disconnected lately? These could all be signs that your bedroom contains these problematic items that Padre Pio cautioned against. Today's revelation isn't just about cleaning your room. It's about transforming your sacred space into a powerful channel for God's blessings. Through Padre Pio's wisdom, we'll discover how these 9 specific items might be blocking your path to prosperity, peace, and spiritual growth. Before we continue, I want you to take a moment and look around your bedroom. Notice how certain areas might feel heavier than others. Perhaps there's a corner that you tend to avoid, or a drawer you haven't opened in months. These aren't coincidences. They're often signs of spiritual stagnation that Padre Pio taught us to recognize. What we're about to share isn't just religious theory, it's practical spiritual wisdom that has transformed countless lives. People who have followed Padre Pio's guidance about removing these items have reported remarkable changes: improved sleep, financial breakthroughs, restored relationships, and a deeper connection with God. Stay with me until the end, because the last item on this list is often the most overlooked, yet it could be the key to unlocking the biggest blessings in your life. As Padre Pio often said, pray, hope, and don't worry. But he also taught us to take action in creating a sacred space where prayer can flourish. If you're ready to transform your bedroom into a sanctuary of peace and prosperity, write in the comments, "I'm ready for divine transformation." Your declaration of faith is the first step toward the change you're seeking. Before we reveal these 9 crucial items, it's essential to understand why your bedroom holds such spiritual significance. Padre Pio taught us that our bedroom is more than just a place where we sleep. It's a sacred chamber where our soul is most vulnerable to both divine blessings and negative influences. In the quiet hours of the night, when the world grows still, your bedroom becomes a spiritual gateway. It's where you begin and end each day, where you dream, pray, and reflect. Padre Pio understood that this intimate space could either amplify God's blessings or become a repository for spiritual blockages. The ancient wisdom of the Church has always recognized that physical spaces carry spiritual energy. Just as a church is consecrated for worship, your bedroom should be sanctified for peace and divine protection. However, many of us unknowingly fill these sacred spaces with objects that oppose this divine purpose. Consider this. In monasteries, where Padre Pio spent much of his life, rooms were kept intentionally simple and clean. This wasn't just about maintaining order. It was about creating a space where the soul could freely commune with God. He observed that when rooms became cluttered with certain objects, the monks experienced spiritual dryness, disturbed sleep, and even unexplained financial difficulties. The connection between your bedroom's spiritual atmosphere and your material prosperity isn't coincidental. Padre Pio explained that when we allow certain items to accumulate in our sleeping space, we're essentially creating barriers to God's abundance. These objects can act like spiritual magnets, attracting poverty and negative energies while repelling divine blessings. You might be wondering how to recognize if your bedroom contains these spiritual blockages. Here are the signs Padre Pio identified: persistent feelings of heaviness or fatigue, even after full rest; unexplained financial difficulties that seem to persist; difficulty concentrating during prayer; life relationship tensions that seem to intensify at home; obstacles that keep appearing in your path to success. These symptoms might seem unrelated to your bedroom, but Padre Pio revealed that our sleeping environment has a profound impact on every aspect of our lives. He taught that our bedroom mirrors our spiritual state. When it's cluttered with certain objects, our soul becomes cluttered with obstacles to God's grace. Today's teaching isn't just about physical cleaning, it's about spiritual liberation. By identifying and removing these 9 specific items, you're not just organizing your space, you're opening channels for divine blessings to flow freely into your life. Remember, transformation begins with awareness. As we proceed to reveal these 9 items, pay close attention to how many of them might be present in your bedroom right now. Each item removed is a step toward greater spiritual freedom and material abundance. Let's begin with the first 3 critical items that Padre Pio warned must be removed from your bedroom immediately. These objects though seemingly innocent, carry powerful negative energies that can block your blessings and attract poverty. Unused clothes and shoes. Padre Pio was particularly stern about this first item. Clothes and shoes that you haven't worn in months or years create what he called a graveyard of intentions. These items represent unfulfilled promises to yourself and blocked energy. When you keep clothes that no longer fit or shoes you never wear, you're symbolically holding on to past versions of yourself that prevent spiritual and material growth. Think about your closet right now. Those clothes you're keeping just in case or because they were expensive. They're not just taking up physical space, they're actively blocking new blessings from entering your life. Padre Pio taught that holding on to these items sends a message to the universe that you don't trust in God's future provision. Broken electronics. The second item might surprise you. Broken or unused electronic devices. Padre Pio, though from a different era, had prophetic insight about the spiritual impact of defunct technology. These items, old phones, broken tablets, tangled chargers, or non-functioning appliances, emit what he described as dead energy. These broken electronics represent stagnation and malfunction in your life. Every time you look at that cracked screen or that printer that hasn't worked in months, you're subconsciously programming yourself to accept dysfunction as normal. This acceptance of brokenness can manifest as financial stagnation and career obstacles, old papers and documents. The third item is particularly insidious: outdated papers, documents, and bills. Padre Pio emphasized that keeping old financial documents, especially unpaid bills or records of debt, creates a poverty consciousness in your bedroom. These papers carry the energy of past financial struggles and can perpetuate cycles of lack. Look around your bedroom. Do you have stacks of old magazines, expired warranties, or bills from years ago? These aren't just paper. They're energetic anchors holding you in past financial patterns. Every old bill, every expired document acts as a magnet for scarcity. Padre Pio taught that these first three items often cluster together, creating what he called a triangle of stagnation. When these items coexist in your bedroom, they work together to block new opportunities from manifesting, create resistance to financial abundance, maintain cycles of scarcity, prevent spiritual growth, disrupt peaceful sleep, interfere with prayer and meditation. The solution isn't just physical removal. It requires a spiritual understanding of letting go. As you prepare to remove these items, Padre Pio recommended saying this simple prayer: Lord, as I release these items, I open myself to your abundant blessings. As we delve deeper into Padre Pio's profound teachings about spiritual cleansing, many of you have been asking how to maintain these sacred practices in your daily life. That's why we've created something special for you. Our new ebook, The Spiritual Secrets of Padre Pio, a guide to divine protection. Hudil. This comprehensive guide contains Padre Pio's powerful prayers for home protection, detailed spiritual cleansing rituals, advanced teachings about creating sacred spaces, little-known wisdom about You'll discover Padre Pio's complete system for maintaining a blessed and prosperous home environment. This isn't just another spiritual book, it's a practical manual for transforming your space and life. Visit the link in the description to access this life-changing guide. Now, let's continue with our revelation of the next three items that Padre Pio warned about. The next three items that Padre Pio identified carry particularly powerful spiritual implications for your bedroom's energy. These objects might seem ordinary, but their impact on your prosperity and well-being is profound. Damaged or worn-out furniture. Padre Pio was emphatic about the spiritual significance of broken furniture in your bedroom. That cracked mirror frame, the wobbly nightstand, or the bed with the squeaky spring, these aren't just physical imperfections. They represent fundamental instability in your life's foundation. A broken bed frame, Padre Pio taught, is like a broken prayer. It creates disruption in your connection with divine providence. When you sleep on a damaged bed or use furniture that's falling apart, you're subconsciously accepting disorder as your natural state. This acceptance becomes a powerful attractor of poverty and instability in all areas of your life. Dead or artificial plants. This fifth item reveals Padre Pio's deep understanding of life force energy. Dead plants in your bedroom create what he called pockets of spiritual decay. Even more concerning are artificial plants, which he described as mock life, that creates confusion in your spiritual atmosphere. Think about it. Fake plants represent false abundance. They're a symbol of accepting imitation over authenticity in your life. Padre Pio warned that artificial plants in your bedroom send a message to the universe that you're willing to accept fake blessings instead of true abundance. Dead plants, meanwhile, actively attract decay into your financial and spiritual life. Mirrors with negative positioning. The sixth item involves mirrors, but not in the way you might expect. Padre Pio was specific about mirror placement in the bedroom. He taught that mirrors facing your bed while you sleep create what he called soul reflection disturbance. This disrupts your spiritual protection during vulnerable sleeping hours. Even more critically, cracked or tarnished mirrors in your bedroom act as multipliers of misfortune. Each crack, Padre Pio warned, can split your blessings into fragments, preventing them from manifesting fully in your life. A mirror that reflects a cluttered area doubles the negative energy of that mess. These three items work together in what Padre Pio called the Trinity of material disruption, affecting your life in several ways. Damaged furniture undermines your foundation for receiving blessings. Dead, artificial plants corrupt the flow of abundance. Poorly placed mirrors distort your spiritual protection. The combination of these items creates a particularly potent barrier to prosperity. Padre Pio observed that bedrooms containing these three elements often experienced unexplained financial setbacks, persistent health issues, relationship difficulties, career stagnation, spiritual confusion. As you identify these items in your bedroom, remember Padre Pio's guidance. The physical order of your space reflects the spiritual order of your life. Each item removed opens a new channel for divine blessings to flow. At this crucial point in our revelation, let's pause to understand the profound connection between your bedroom's energy and your spiritual prosperity, as taught by Padre Pio. This understanding will make the removal of these items not just a physical action, but a powerful spiritual transformation. Padre Pio often shared a profound insight with his spiritual children. Your bedroom is the temple where your soul rebuilds itself. He explained that during sleep, our souls are most receptive to both divine blessings and negative influences. This is why the energy of objects in our bedroom carries such significant weight in our spiritual and material prosperity. Consider this powerful testimony from Maria, one of Padre Pio's devoted followers. After suffering years of financial hardship, she discovered 3 of these problematic items in her bedroom. Upon removing them, following Padre Pio's guidance, she experienced an extraordinary transformation. Within months, unexpected opportunities began flowing into her life, and her financial situation improved dramatically. Padre Pio explained this phenomenon through what he called the law of sacred space. He taught that our bedroom serves 3 spiritual functions. It's a sanctuary for divine communication, a chamber for spiritual renewal, a gateway for material blessings. When we allow certain objects to accumulate in this sacred space, we create what Padre Pio called blessing blockages. These blockages don't just affect our spiritual life, they directly impact our material prosperity. He observed that people who maintained spiritually clean bedrooms often experienced unexpected financial blessings, improved relationships, better health, clearer spiritual guidance, enhanced prayer life. But there's something even more crucial to understand. Padre Pio revealed that these items in our bedroom don't just block blessings, they actively attract negative energy. He compared it to leaving a window open during a storm. Not only does the rain come in, but it can damage everything inside. This is why the remaining items on our list are particularly significant. Each one carries a specific type of energy that can affect different areas of your life. Before we reveal them, Padre Pio recommended this powerful prayer of preparation. Lord, as I prepare to cleanse my sacred space, grant me the wisdom to recognize what no longer serves my spiritual growth, the courage to let go, and the faith to trust in your abundant blessings. Remember, this isn't just about physical cleaning, it's about spiritual liberation. Each item removed creates space for divine grace to enter. As Padre Pio often said, where there is order in the physical realm, there is order in the spiritual realm. Now we come to the final 3 items that Padre Pio warned must be removed from your bedroom. These are perhaps the most powerful spiritual blockers of all, directly affecting your connection with divine prosperity. Objects connected to negative memories. Padre Pio was particularly adamant about this 7th item. Any object that reminds you of past pain, broken relationships, or difficult times creates what he called a spiritual anchor to suffering. These might include gifts from ended relationships, photos that bring painful memories, items from periods of hardship, mementos of lost opportunities, objects connected to past failures. These items don't just occupy physical space, they actively broadcast negative energy into your bedroom. Padre Pio explained that keeping these objects is like choosing to sleep next to your past wounds, preventing them from healing and blocking new blessings from entering your life. Broken or stopped clocks. The 8th item reveals Padre Pio's profound understanding of time's spiritual significance. A clock that doesn't work, especially in your bedroom, creates what he called a prosperity pause. He taught that stopped clocks symbolize stagnation in your financial flow and can literally freeze the timing of your blessings. Even more concerning, Padre Pio observed that broken clocks in bedrooms often coincided with delayed opportunities, missed financial breakthroughs, stalled career progress, postponed blessings, life feeling stuck. Items related to unhealthy habits. The final item on our list was one that Padre Pio considered particularly dangerous to spiritual and material prosperity. Any objects associated with negative habits or addictions create what he called portals of poverty. These might include items connected to harmful behaviors, objects that tempt you away from spiritual growth, things that represent past vices, materials that disturb your peace, items that compromise your values. The presence of these objects, according to Padre Pio, sends a powerful message to the universe about what you're willing to accept in your life. They act as magnets for scarcity and spiritual weakness. These final 3 items form what Padre Pio called the triangle of transformation. When removed together, they create an immediate shift in your bedroom's spiritual atmosphere. He observed that people who removed these items often experienced sudden financial breakthroughs, healing of old emotional wounds, release from long-standing blocks, renewed spiritual vigor, unexpected. What you keep in your sacred space shapes the blessings that can enter your life. The removal of these final items isn't just about creating physical space, it's about opening spiritual channels for prosperity and divine favor. Now that we've identified all 9 items, let's explore Padre Pio's specific guidance for removing them effectively. This isn't just about physical cleaning, it's a sacred process of spiritual transformation. First, Padre Pio emphasized the importance of proper timing. He recommended beginning this cleansing process during the early morning hours, preferably as the sun rises. The dawn, he taught, carries special graces for spiritual cleansing and renewal. Before you begin, open your windows to allow fresh air to circulate. This helps disperse stagnant energy. Here's the step-by-step process Padre Pio recommended. Begin with a prayer of protection. Before touching any items, recite this prayer he gave to his spiritual children. Lord, as I begin this sacred task of cleansing my space, surround me with your divine protection. Guide my hands and heart in removing what no longer serves your purpose for my life. The three-stage removal process. Padre Pio taught that items should be removed in specific stages. Stage 1, physical removal. Handle each item with intention. Don't just toss things in bags. Acknowledge their role in your past and consciously choose to release them. As you remove each item, say, I release this object and any energy it holds over my life. Stage 2, spiritual cleansing. After removing the items, Padre Pio recommended cleansing the space where they were kept. He suggested using blessed salt in the corners of your room and praying the prayer of renewal. Divine Father, cleanse this space of all negative energy. Let your light fill every corner where darkness once dwelt. Stage 3, blessing the space. The final stage involves blessing your newly cleansed bedroom. Padre Pio advised using holy water to make the sign of the cross in each direction, while saying, may this sacred space be sealed against poverty and blessed with divine prosperity. Important guide. Padre Pio emphasized, never remove items during night hours. Don't give negative items to others. They carry energy. Avoid keeping removed items in your home, just in case. Complete the removal process in one session. Maintain the cleansed space with regular prayer for challenging items. Some objects might have sentimental value or be difficult to remove. For these, Padre Pio provided special guidance. Take a photo if you need to preserve the memory. Write down any important information before discarding papers. Donate usable items to charity with a BL. Padre Pio taught the importance of filling the space with positive elements. A small, blessed crucifix, fresh flowers, never artificial, clean, well-maintained furniture, working clocks that keep a cur. A devoted follower of Padre Pio's teachings. For 3 years, she faced a series of inexplicable financial setbacks and persistent health issues. Despite her unwavering faith, she felt as though an invisible barrier was blocking her blessings. I prayed constantly, but it felt like my prayers were hitting an invisible wall, Sarah shares. That's when I discovered, through Padre Pio's teachings, that my bedroom was filled with these 9 blocking items. I had a broken clock that was a gift from my grandmother, several artificial plants I thought made the room more beautiful, and a collection of objects from past relationships I couldn't bring myself to discard. Following Padre Pio's spiritual cleansing process rigorously, Sarah dedicated an entire morning to transforming her bedroom. It was an emotional process, she reveals. Each object carried a story, but I understood I was carrying burdens that no longer belonged in my life. As I removed each item, I followed Padre Pio's recommended prayers. Results began manifesting quickly. In the first week after the cleansing, Sarah reports her sleep improved significantly. Within a month, she received an unexpected job offer with a salary far exceeding her previous one. Most remarkably, her chronic health issues began showing significant improvement. The deepest transformation, she shares, was in my spiritual life. My bedroom truly became a sanctuary of prayer. Now, when I pray, I feel a much stronger connection with the divine. It's as if each prayer finally finds a clear path to heaven. Sarah's case reinforces what Padre Pio always taught. The physical cleansing of space must be accompanied by deep spiritual intention. Her testimony shows us that when we faithfully follow these guidelines, transformation occurs on every level: physical, emotional, financial, and spiritual. According to Padre Pio's teachings, when you faithfully complete this bedroom cleansing, you can expect profound transformations in multiple areas of your life. These changes often manifest in specific, observable ways. Immediate changes you'll notice. The first signs of transformation typically appear within 72 hours of completing the cleansing. Padre Pio observed that his followers consistently reported a noticeable lightness in the room's atmosphere, deeper, more restful sleep, increased mental clarity upon waking, a natural draw to prayer, unexpected income opportunities, resolution of long-standing financial blocks, new business connections, job promotions or better career prospects, debt reduction or elimination, improved money management abilities, spiritual benefits. The spiritual impact of this cleansing runs deep. You'll likely experience more vivid spiritual insights during prayer, clearer divine guidance, stronger connection during meditation, enhanced spiritual protection, more meaningful dreams, increased sense, improved immune system function, better breathing during sleep, reduced headaches, intention, more natural wake-sleep cycles, increased energy levels, enhanced overall vitality, long-term transformations. When you create space for God in your bedroom, you create space for His blessings in every area of your life. As we conclude our journey through Padre Pio's powerful teachings about bedroom cleansing, remember that your sacred space holds the key to unlocking divine prosperity. Each item you remove creates room for God's abundant blessings to flow into your life. Padre Pio assured us that when we take this step of faith, clearing our bedrooms of these 9 items, we open ourselves to extraordinary transformation. He witnessed countless lives change through this simple yet profound act of spiritual cleansing. Now is your moment of decision. Look around your bedroom with new eyes. See these items not just as physical objects, but as spiritual influences that have been affecting your prosperity, peace, and connection with God. The changes you desire begin with your willingness to act on this knowledge. Your next steps are clear. Begin your bedroom cleansing tomorrow at dawn. As you remove each item, remember the spiritual significance behind this act. Trust in the process that has transformed so many lives before yours. If you're ready to experience this divine transformation, write in the comments, "I choose prosperity over poverty." Your declaration becomes a powerful testimony that will inspire others to take this important step in their spiritual journey. Remember Padre Pio's words. When you clear your sacred space of these items, you're not just changing your bedroom, you're changing your destiny. Start your journey of transformation today. The blessings awaiting you are greater than you can imagine.